Hello and welcome. I'm Asuma Kataoka and you are watching Newsx World. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. The Israeli military has declared Gaza City a dangerous combat zone amid plans to capture the city entirely after nearly 2 years of the conflict. The recently announced daily tactical pauses for aid distribution will no longer apply, as the move signals further intensification of military operations in this area. U.S. Senator Roger Wicker, chairman of the powerful Senate Armed Services Committee, has declared that Taiwan has the right to preserve self-determination and be free during a meeting with President Lai Ching-te in Taipei. The statement comes amid his first visit, while U.S. remains Taiwan's significant international supporter. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stated that India and Japan will shape the Asian century. As Japan announced $68 billion in investments, Modi and Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba have also highlighted plans to double the number of Indian nationals in Japan, to boost trade beyond its current $20 billion and further expand partnership in semiconductors, AI, and high-speed rail. European Union defense ministers have arrived for an informal meeting to discuss regional security and defense cooperation. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas and defense ministers from Denmark, Lithuania, Estonia, and Germany provided opening comments. The session marks the start of discussions on joint military and strategic initiatives. Thailand's Constitutional Court has removed and suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra and her cabinet over earlier border dispute with Cambodia. The 9-judge panel ruled that she failed to uphold ethical standards during a leaked phone call with former Cambodian leader Hun Sen. Mauritius Prime Minister Navin Chandra Ramgoolam has dismissed Central Bank's second Deputy Governor Gerald Sanspure. After a public rift with Governor Rama Sitanan, Ramgoolam has told that the standoff was unacceptable, while Sanspure announced he would address the issue in a press conference, according to media reports. The United Nations Human Rights Office has reported that Iran has executed at least 841 people so far this year, including women, Afghan nationals, and ethnic minorities. According to media reports, in July alone, 100 people were put to death, more than double the number from July last year, marking a sharp surge in executions. Guyanese voters will head to the polls today to decide whether President Irfan Ali's ruling People's Progressive Party can hold its parliamentary majority and continue guiding one of the world's fastest-growing economies, driven by ExxonMobil's offshore oil discoveries. The opposition parties have criticized the PPP's infrastructure spending and shifting their stance on Exxon contract. China's Vice Foreign Minister Ma Zhaoyu on Friday has stressed that the trend towards reunification with Taiwan is unstoppable. Speaking during a press briefing on the 80th anniversary of China's victory in the People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War, Ma has said that Taiwan's return to China is both a historical and legal certainty, citing key instruments such as the Cairo Declaration and the Potsdam Proclamation. Ma has emphasized that the One China principle forms the foundation of China's international relations, with 183 countries maintaining diplomatic ties with China on this basis. Ma Zhao has issued a stern warning today over Taiwan's, emphasizing that the island's future is a purely internal matter for China and cautioning foreign powers against interference. Here's what he said.
问题纯属中国内政，不容任何外来干涉。少数外部势力妄图搞以台制华，是在玩火，而玩火者必自焚。 中国终将统一，也必将统一的大势。
China will mark the 80th anniversary of its victory over Japanese aggression on September 3rd with a grand military parade and gala, highlighting the enduring historical and national significance of this occasion. Now we're joined by Professor Georgi Toloraya. He's an international affairs expert, joins us live from Moscow. Thank you, Professor Georgi, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, given Ma Zhao's assertion that Taiwan's reunification with China is unstoppable, what's your reaction and how do you interpret this rhetoric?
Well, I think this is a reaction to the provocative statements by the US Senator in Taipei, because it has been a standard policy of China that the country will be one day reunited, and they never denied it, and so it's just the cause to the case to remind it once again. I don't think there can be some kind of immediate consequences or some kind of change in the position. It's all very familiar and all the same. They just have to reiterate it.
And Professor, could such a narrative shift the strategic calculations between Japan and Australia and Taiwan?
This block forming or block construction in Asia and the Pacific. I don't like the word Indo-Pacific because it has very anti-Chinese connotations, but in Asia and the Pacific, I think that's a very dangerous tendency which has been pursued by US for some time. And in this case, of course, the US wouldn't participate. I think this is one of these mini-lateral formats which are essentially anti-Chinese.
And also looking at the speech given, does referencing World War II era agreements risk oversimplifying or misrepresenting the current legal and political status of Taiwan?
I don't want to see any agreements on which the current geopolitical balance of power is based be revised, because the agreements that have been reached at the end of the Second World War, especially in Asia and the Pacific, still hold, and it's very dangerous to try to revise them or to try to tackle the military balance by increasing one side's power, because this will lead to the arms race and increase in the power of opposing bloc, and eventually that can lead to a conflict.
Thank you very much, Professor Georgi, for sharing that insight with us. We stay in this region. China has stated it is willing to work with the United States to explore the right path for the two countries to coexist in this new era, according to Vice Foreign Minister Ma Zhao'u. Speaking at a press conference in Beijing, Ma has emphasized that China's commitment to mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation while firmly safeguarding its national sovereignty, security, and development interests. Let's listen into what other statements he has made on this issue. We will be moving on and going back to our guest discussion with Professor Georgi Toloraya. He's an international affairs expert, joins us live from Moscow. Thank you, Professor, for staying with us. Now, going back to our previous discussion and building on your previous answer, I'd like to ask, why do you think it's very dangerous to bring those narratives which were agreed in the end of World War II, but why do you think China decided to say it now and bring those references? What do you think the timing suggests, and what do you think the strategy was behind that move?
Well, I don't understand why it's dangerous to quote the agreements and the setup which has been reached in the end of the Second World War. Because to change them, actually, we need another war. This is the way history runs. If you want something which is reached by blood and sealed in blood and it is a result of the war, then changing it, you will need another war. And China will host the celebration of the results of the Second World War, of the Japanese Imperial Japan defeat in a few days with the impressive setup of global leaders, actually the leaders of the global majority countries. I think it's perfectly normal for China to quote what this order is based on.
And do you think China's call for now peaceful coexistence while also maintaining its one China policy, do you think this is achievable in terms of Taiwan and China's current situation?
Well, I've said this has been a standard position of China, the one China policy, that it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to conquer Taiwan just right now and in some near future. As far as I understand Chinese, the genuine desire of the Chinese authorities that Taiwan would just voluntarily get back into China, into the mainland China orbit by its own volition in some day in the future. And that might be a very distant future. And by the time already, the global situation might radically change. It's not the matter of tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Professor Georgi, for joining us and sharing that insight. Before we continue the discussion, let's listen into what other statements that he has made on this issue.
中国人民抗日战争的伟大胜利，是中华民族从近代以来陷入深重危机，走向伟大复兴的历史转折点，对世界各国人民夺取反法西斯战争的胜利，争取世界和平的伟大事业，产生了重大而深远的影响。新中国成立以来，中国坚持独立自主的和平外交政策，提出和平共处5项原则，倡导促进世界多极化和国际关系民主化，为世界和平发展事业做出重要贡献。我相互尊重、和平共处、合作共赢，同时坚定维护中国的国家主权、安全和发展利益。对中国搞施压、胁迫、行不通、办不到，想要遏制中国的发展壮大，阻碍中华民族的伟大复兴，注定以失败收场。我们愿同美方相向而行，落实好两国元首的重要共识，保持沟通，管控分歧。
Indonesian police have fired tear gas at hundreds of protesters outside of Jakarta's parliamentary headquarters today, following the death of motorcycle taxi driver Afan Kurniawan. A video showing a tactical police vehicle running over Kurniawan went viral, sparking widespread public outrage amid criticism of police conduct in the country. Protesters gathered to demand justice and accountability, highlighting growing discontent over the government's handling of economic and social issues. Meanwhile, President Prabowo Subianto has said that he had ordered a thorough and transparent investigation into this incident. He vowed the following.
Saya terkejut dan kecewa dengan tindakan petugas yang berlebihan. Saya sudah perintahkan agar insiden tadi malam diusut secara tuntas dan transparan, serta petugas-petugas yang terlibat harus bertanggung jawab. Seandainya diketemukan mereka berbuat di luar kepatutan dan ketentuan yang berlaku, akan kita ambil tindakan sekeras-kerasnya sesuai hukum yang berlaku. Dalam situasi seperti ini, saya menghimbau semua masyarakat untuk tenang, untuk percaya dengan pemerintah yang saya pimpin. Pemerintah yang saya pimpin akan berbuat yang terbaik untuk rakyat kita. Semua keluhan-keluhan masyarakat akan kami catat dan akan kami tindak lanjuti.
Indonesian police have fired tear gas at hundreds of protesters outside of Jakarta's parliamentary headquarters today, following the death of motorcycle taxi driver Afan Kurniawan. A video showing a tactical police vehicle running over Kurniawan went viral, sparking widespread public outrage and criticism of police conduct. Protesters gathered to demand justice and accountability, highlighting growing discontent over this government's handling of economic as well as social issues. Meanwhile, President Prabowo Subianto said he had ordered a thorough and transparent investigation into this incident. Now for this discussion, we are joined by Dr. Vipul Saxena. He's a defense expert, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us today. Good to see you. Now, how does this public backlash over common man's death reflect deeper issues within Indonesia now and its current governance structures? Doctor, could you hear me? Dr. Vipul, we will move on from this discussion.
Yeah. I can hear you.
Dr. Vipul, could you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I'll repeat my question. Thank you for joining us today. Dr. Vipul, how does this public backlash over common man's death reflect deeper issues within Indonesia's current law enforcement as well as government structure?
See, as I understand, I think this protest was regarding economic and social, stands and policies of the government, and it was not a violent protest, but I think somewhere the law enforcing authorities have used force against these protesters, which has escalated this matter to this extent, wherein president has to give a statement.
And do you think that this president's call for transparent investigations?
Absolutely, that is what president has assured, that there will be a transparent investigation and truth will come out, and whoever are at fault, they will be dealt as per the law. And I think that action by the government may subside, some kind of escalation. But yet we have to wait and watch how far the people, take this declaration or the promise by the government.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vipul, for joining us and sharing your insights throughout our news. Thank you very much. Now we move on to the Middle East. According to the latest reports, the Israeli military has declared Gaza City a very dangerous combat zone as it prepares to advance into the city after almost 2 years of conflict. The declaration means that the local daily tactical pauses in military activity designed to facilitate aid distribution will no longer apply in Gaza City. Meanwhile, Avichai Adrai, Lieutenant Colonel in the Israel Defense Forces, has said on Wednesday that although the military did not issue an immediate evacuation order, but evacuation of the city's residents was inevitable. Thousands of civilians have already fled southwards as strikes continue, with dozens reported killed in recent attacks, according to Gaza's Civil Defense Agency. Now for this discussion, we're joined by Yossi Cooper-Wasser. He's an Israeli intelligence and security expert, joins us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you, Yossi, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, what more can you thank you. Now, what more can you tell us about the situation on holding on in Gaza?
What's happening is that we are trying to reach an end of the war as soon as possible, and for that purpose, we need to take over what's left under the control of Hamas in Gaza. They still control two centers. One is the Gaza City, and one is the area of the central Gaza, where there are several refugee camps. And we are now focusing on the Gaza City, and we want the population that is still there to leave, so that we should be able to fight against the Hamas terrorists and not have to harm the civilians who are caught in between. And that's why we are asking them to leave the city, and we have prepared for them a safer place to stay just south of the city. And that's what we are planning for the immediate future to happen. Once this is completed, it's going to probably take a few weeks before they are totally leaving the city. Once this is going to be finished, we are going to try to put pressure on Hamas terrorists that are still there in order to finish the war and bring about the disarmament of the Hamas and the release of the hostages that are still in the hands of Hamas. We have 50 hostages, 20 of them probably alive, that are still in the hands of Hamas ever since October 7th.
And Yossi, you mentioned they are to evacuate to south. So is this going to be? So do they have cars or buses that got people in Gaza? How are they supposed to go to where it is safer?
Some of them have cars, some of them can walk by foot. It's not a big distance. It's really a few kilometers, that's all. Gaza is so small. So that's it's a distance that can be walked by foot. And but if they want to take their cars, of course, they are invited. In this area that we have prepared, they are going to be secured not only from the war itself, but also they are going to be able to get their humanitarian aid given directly to them, and not through Hamas, which is the problem that we are facing in Gaza City, where Hamas steals the humanitarian aid coming in and uses it for its own purposes. So now that they're going to leave the city, the humanitarian aid is going to reach them directly.
Thank you very much, Yossi, for always joining us and sharing that insight. That was Yossi Cooper-Wasser from Israel with us. Now we move on to Asia. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has participated in an official Guard of Honor ceremony in Tokyo today, marking the start of Prime Minister Modi's two-day visit to Japan. The visit aims to secure billions of dollars in Japanese investment and strengthening strategic and security ties between the two nations. During the ceremony, Ishiba has praised the growing partnership with India, while Prime Minister Modi emphasized the shared vision for regional stability and economic growth. The visit also includes the signing of multiple businesses and cooperation agreements between Indian and Japanese companies, boosting industrial and technological collaboration. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi have participated in an official Guard of Honor ceremony in Tokyo today, marking the start of Prime Minister Modi's two-day visit to Japan. The visit aims to secure billions of dollars in Japanese investment and strengthen strategic and security ties between the two nations. Now for this discussion, we're joined by Ambassador Suresh Goyal. He's a former Indian diplomat, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you, Ambassador Suresh, for joining us today. Welcome to Newsx World. Now, how do you see Prime Minister Modi's visit to Japan?
Coming at this time, even though the dates for this summit meeting had been decided earlier, this is an annual meeting that takes place in any case. But coming at this time, it does acquire a very specific and very significant strategic importance, simply because I do feel that I'm watching in progress a great reset of relationship, geopolitics in Indo-Pacific here. Now, if you remember, Japan was a prime mover of Indo-Pacific concept, free and open India-Pacific, in which India was a partner, India, Australia, Japan, and the USA. The recent moves do suggest that that kind of an equation which existed for making Indo-Pacific the prime organization, security configuration, strategic configuration in Indo-Pacific may go through a change. And because of this, I think the visit is very, very significant. Besides all the trade, economic, technological cooperation, which are all part of it. Yes.
And could this deeper engagement lead to more formalized security cooperation, possibly even within the frameworks like the Quad? What do you think?
We need to wait for Quad. I think the Quad summit is scheduled in India towards the end of this month, November, if I'm not mistaken. A lot will depend upon President Trump coming for the meeting. He has not taken a decision as yet whether he will be here or not. And if President Trump does not come to take part in the meeting, or he deputes somebody else, it could really indicate a kind of change in the perception or change in how USA looks at Quad for a security platform in Indo-Pacific. Therefore, I would hesitate to make any guesses about Indo-Pacific at this stage, but there are a lot of changes taking place, and I don't think it would be wise to make any speculation on security architecture on Indo-Pacific platform, at least for the time being.
Right. And Ambassador, also with Japan set to invest billions in India now, what sectors are likely to benefit the most from this renewed partnership?
Most of them will begin in technology and the recent areas of semiconductors, artificial intelligence, I would say. Connectivity, bullet train is one part of it, really speaking. But I would say technology really would be the main part of it. Semiconductors, artificial intelligence, electronics, or green or energy. That is what I can think of for the time being, yes.
And how do you think, how will this economic cooperation align with India's broader goals of self-reliance and global supply chain integration?
Very important again. India is, if you look at the whole economic metrics of this area, India is an important player in the modern technologies in terms of both artificial intelligence, IT sector, automotive sector, etc. And India is aspiring to now becoming a hub for artificial intelligence and semiconductors. A growing cooperation between Japan and India will be helpful in our achieving those objectives. But also, I think more importantly, it creating alternatives. At the moment, we have basically very few countries who have the know-how, who have the technology to work in these areas, particularly the critical minerals and the semiconductors. And it would be useful to have the spread a bit more so that nobody can claim a monopoly on these critical parts of economy and industry.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Suresh Goyal, for joining us and sharing your insight. This is all we have time for. We will continue to bring you more news updates from around the world.